And for the most part, I could sit there in my pajamas and even watch a full concert of some of the greatest people and talents of our land. It did cause me to save on my cleaning bill, though. Some of the restaurants that had refused to change their menus were now being forced to change their whole layout. If you watch this year, 2020 was the year that Crayola started making more colors to better reshape to better reflect, I apologize, the shades of children around the globe. This has been a year for the books. Some people that go outside for fresh air have been running outside just to get outside, but they don't want to get sick, so they have to run back in. But when you mention the innovative and the creative methods that have been used for our celebrations, our birthdays, our anniversaries, the drive-by graduations and things like that, it's been amazing. It's been phenomenal. At a city level, however, again, there are three people who died in a pandemic. This is the county judge, the city mayor, and our county health officer. But all three of us get our information from three different places. The county judge gets his from emergency services, something like FEMA, but we have it at a state level. I get mine from the governor. He gets his instruction from the president. Our health officer deals with our Department of Health or Arkansas Department of Health. And so weekly, we've had the opportunity. We started out doing a weekly broadcast, the daily, then we went Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then we ended up going back weekly when things slowed up just a little bit. But our deaths have slowly been increasing. Our positive tests have been returning a little more. But we've also been blessed to have lots of recoveries in our county. I'm glad when you asked that question, I also thought about the fact that America saw some blacks. But for years, I've had to explain, and I've been caught up in conversations. We talk about protests. I've been caught up in conversations trying to explain racism. And it's been so difficult to explain racism and privilege to people who can't hear and can't understand. Much to my chagrin, it happened when Mr. Floyd died, and all these people were forced to watch a dying man cry out for his dead mother. And for once, it didn't matter, because when something is systemic, it's difficult to explain. It's rooted, it's ingrained, it's a part of the fabric. But our city of Camden, Arkansas, hosted a march, Black Lives Matter march. And when we did ours, our message never got lost. I heard people all across the country saying defund the police. Our police marched with us, 400 people marching at one time down a state highway. I mean, they closed off a state highway for our city. And we were never talking about defunding the police, and neither were we in competition with someone saying all lives matter. It was just an issue of how many deaths were happening and how many police were often going unpunished for deaths that could not be explained. And it got so good for our community, and I'm bragging on Camden, Arkansas, that Michael Baisden and D.L. Hughley talked about what was going on in Camden, one from a good point, one from a bad point. Michael Baisden bragged on how well our march went, but D.L. Hughley was one who had to call us out, and CNN and a few more called us out when one of our police officers, who no longer works for the city, put one of our children in a chokehold. And that's something that's in the court, so it's been worked out. But that's not the issue now. I'm just saying that we may gain national attention for the way we were handling some of the things that were going on in our city, but people were just simply exercising their First Amendment rights. And then for our church, as well as most of our city, the telehealth had been a hard sell in 2019. Everybody was talking about, I ain't going to see no doctor on no telephone. And now all of a sudden, you don't want to go in the office because you heard that Maybell went in the office and came out with COVID. She ain't been sick all her life, and all of a sudden she had COVID. So it was a difficult sale, but it also kept us from waiting in line in the lobby so long, reading all those books that we didn't really care to know much about. And then I was able to
like
save
that good housekeeping, Bishop.
Say it again.
You know we like that good housekeeping.
I hear you. So the drive-through clinics are now a thing. I never would have gotten in line for a drive-through clinic. You know, so some of the changes that we have adapted to, we're probably not going back in some of those areas. And so it's the now normal, or the new normal, as some would say. We've been having church on Facebook. We have not been allowing a whole lot of people in. And we've learned to use Zoom. Our sound lady is now a broadcaster. some of the deacons and trustees are now panhandlers out on the corner from 12 to 2, drop off your tithes and offering.
Absolutely.
But
we make it work.
Say it again.
We make it work.
We make it work. For our families, game night has come back.
Yes.
Only to be riddled by such things as HGTV and Hallmark TV, whatever those things are, whatever, whoever cares about that. But
everybody.
And so, I mean, boy, that's about the only reason anybody around me would even want cable is to watch that Home and Garden TV or that Hallmark TV. But for our city, we had time to fix our streets. We updated some of our parks because, you know, of the lack of play in some of them for a little bit. We got new basketball courts. We paved a lot of streets. Mm-hmm. We joined some organizations over this year to kind of help us to muddle through some of these things that were new to us. This is my first term. Yeah. And we restarted, and then some of our old organizations and kickstarted some of them, and some of them are new, but we're just trying to get some things moving in the right direction. As you may know, I'm not a Black mayor in that context. I have the opportunity to serve a whole community of about, 12,000 constituents, And of those 12,000, 56% of those just so happen to be of Black people. But we're having to find ways of making this work. But the progress that we've been able to make in this year, and I understand some of the disdain that some people have for 2020, but I'm grateful for the challenges. It gave us an opportunity to draw closer together. Most importantly, I don't even think we would be having this conversation tonight had 2020 not been such a challenge and not been so difficult. And I don't know if you mind people knowing, but all three of us, again, are from Grenada, Mississippi. And as quiet as it's kept, if you follow the whole street out, we grew up on the same street. It ends on Line, but Attorney Winters was right down the street from us. And we all came from the same place. And you guys are achieving and doing a wonderful job. And I'm just grateful that you have found something positive to pull out of this year. And I look forward to whatever God's going to continue to do. I keep telling people, this is not just medical, it's not just biological. This has a spiritual significance to us, and emotionally, there are people who need your assistance, who need your help to stay grounded and to be positive in these uncertain times.
Doc, I have a question for you, Mayor Lott. I think that was absolutely fascinating, and what you said, and I agree with it 110%. And I've always been concerned about how small municipalities would bounce back in such a trying time, and how small municipalities could reinvent themselves, so to speak. But on the spiritual level, you also serve as the bishop. You guys have grown your flock, you've grown your church. You've always been way forward. You always lean forward digitally. You've always been a digital minister. You've always been, you've been on the cutting edge with your evangelistic skills always. You and your partner, your first lady and your co-pastor, you guys have done exceptional work. How are we evolving as humans as we come to you from a spiritual level? How is our soul changing through this process? Are you finding us more resilient? Are you finding us able to bounce back? Are you finding that? I know we all have to shift out of force, but are we getting stronger through this human experience?
I really believe it depends on where you go. Where you go determines how you grow. It's just like right now, if your broadcast gets stagnant over 5 or 6 seconds, people are going to change. They're going to change their station. So it's so important that we get things to where we're addressing the needs of the people in our time, and we're doing things at a level of excellence, because people don't have to sit there and wait until the mic gets fixed anymore. If I come to your church, I'm stuck there until everything works out. It's a demon in the microphone, and we rebuke the demon of the microphone. We just sit there and play those games and stuff. But certainly we are a resilient people. But if I'm allowed to say, and I respect all people, Blacks have always been When they threw us, I mean, there were people, deacons, who said, I don't want to be on that TV. They be looking at our church and they're going to do this, they're going to do that. People thought that. All of a sudden, those same deacons have had to make an adjustment. And we've been doing that. When they threw us, what was left? When they threw the head down there, we made hog head sauce. When they threw the belly down there, we made chitlins. We've always been survivors. We've always been able to make it. We need to reach within ourselves, find that greatness, find that inner strength that's always been there, and go to work at being the best you that you can possibly be. Now, are there people out here who are not eating right? You know, Paul in the Bible, Paul calls it spermologos. It's a picture of a bird who has a nest of babies, and that bird goes and brings back a worm, or brings back bread, or brings back all this different stuff. So when the bird gets sick and the bird regurgitates, you don't know what the bird ate that made it sick. The same thing will become true, and you'll see it evident in the next few years, that some of us have been on such diets that we don't know what really will have made some of our Christians or some of the, I say, spiritual people sick. So we do have to pay attention to what we are paying, what we're eating, and what we're feeding to ourselves. But I found the church to always be triumphant. Even in the midst of the evangelical argument, in the midst of all of those things, there are people who are able to find some solace in saying, that's not who Christ is. Jesus was a Jew. How can Jesus hate Jews? There's some rational people out here, and I just believe in the best in humanity. And there's some people who are thinking this thing through, and they're not taking wood nickels. And we call the internet information highway. Our young people, the reason we can't do those young people is because if you say something, they're going to Google you. They're going to find out if it's true. And so when they, I just today, I was sitting with my phone, and on TikTok, I don't have TikTok, but someone videoed it or something, where some children whose parents just so happen to be white are doing some kind of challenge to challenge racism in their families, in their homes. And I'm sitting there like, my God, that's a bold move, you know? But people are not dumb. People are actually trying to be better people. And in the midst of that, the best person is coming forth in a lot of our community. And I refuse to be negative. I refuse to believe that we won't find that greater good. Look at us. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Poplar Street, who would have thought? And you go down Poplar now, and you need to be in my police truck to go down there sometime. I mean, you know, God, there's some great in us, and we have to start reaching for that and keep pulling that out of those young people. All of us are not thugs. Even if you see a boy with his pants hanging down, sometimes he's just a conversation away from pulling them up, you know? And we can't be afraid of people. We got to reach out to them and trust that goodness that's in them. So yes, we are resilient people.
Mayor Lott, before you go, and we want to thank.
Hey, he accidentally muted himself. You got to tell him to unmute.
Oh,
no, I was just pointing to Dr. Talk.
Yeah, he was giving me the floor there. So before you wrap up, as you alluded to social media, would you mind sharing with our listening audience, our viewing audience, some of the sites that you might have them to visit? For example, perhaps where one pastors might want to share.
You are far too kind. So we're Julian Lott Ministries on Facebook every Sunday at 8:30 and every Tuesday at 5:30 when we start off the new year. And again, I want to say thank you to you for the opportunity to come on today. And thank you for everything you're doing that's reaching back and blessing the people of our city. Grenada is a wonderful place to be from. But I pray to God that you continue your work to make it a great place to always go to. Grenada will always be home to me. And I wish I could invest more time and more energy with you guys as you're doing these different projects and programs. Thank you. And if I can link up with you, I would love to do so. But certainly you guys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you so much, Bishop. We appreciate you taking time. We know that you will be doing a watch night service later on this evening. And so you have given our viewers an opportunity to check out your website, and perhaps they might be able to.
Thank you.
Pastor, you're Bishop, Pastor, Mr. Mayor, you're always welcome on this show.
Thank
always.
You.
And in
You're
2021, We hope to have you on here all the time, at least once a quarter. I know your schedule's busy, but at least once a quarter, please come on the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And all I ask of you is that you would please give me a call. I love you and thank you. I love you.
We love you, Pastor. We love you, brother.
Bye, Bishop.
Happy New Year.